AITA for asking my uncle what the hell does he expect me to do. My uncle has 4 kids from 2 marriages. His older kids, Evan and Sasha, were like siblings to me growing up, but they don't speak to him or his younger children, Hannah and Caleb, from his second marriage. Sasha started streaming video games and recently gained popularity. During a couple of streams, Sasha mentioned Evan as her only sibling. When Hannah and Caleb knew it, they felt excluded. Now, my uncle confronted me angrily, demanding I get Sasha and Evan to acknowledge their younger siblings and stop ignoring them publicly. I'm 22F, not that close with my uncle. He's my mom's brother, and they're close, but he and I never were. My uncle has 4 kids, 2 sets of kids from 2 marriages to be accurate. His older kids, Evan and Sasha, are a little bit older than me, but we were very close growing up and remain close. Their mom died and my uncle remarried and has 2 more kids who are 11 and 9, Hannah and Caleb. Evan and Sasha don't talk to my uncle anymore, and they don't talk to or see Hannah and Caleb or my uncle's wife, Hannah and Caleb's mom. Sasha started streaming video games about a year ago. She started getting noticed more recently, and kids at Hannah and Caleb's school were talking about Sasha, which led to them seeing a video and realizing who the kids were talking about. They watched some of her streams, and during a couple of them, Sasha had been asked about siblings, and Evan was in her stream chat, and she told people she had an older brother and shouted out Evan. Both times she was saying it as though Evan was her only sibling. This upset Hannah and Caleb, and they told my uncle, and they cried about it to their parents. My uncle tried to contact Sasha, but she changed her number so he couldn't. Then he approached me mad, like really mad, and he told me I need to fix this and get Sasha and Evan to stop acting this way. He said it's beyond cruel to ignore the fact they have 2 younger siblings who miss them, and then to go public like that and only say they have 1 sibling. He said since they stayed close to me, I can fix it. I asked him what the hell he expects me to do. He told me it should be obvious what I need to say, but clearly not when I have a bratty attitude at my big age, his words. He told me I clearly don't want to, and have no problem with what they're doing, so I'll just disrespect him. AITA, relevant comments. Commenter, NTA. It sounds like your uncle screwed up when trying to integrate the family. Were there known issues when your uncle remarried and had more kids? OP. Oh yeah, there were tons of issues from before he remarried. They existed since their mom got sick, got worse after, and after he remarried, the whole thing was way more tense. My uncle liked to pretend it would work itself out in time, and then he tried to be more forceful, which backfired spectacularly. Commenter. Then your uncle definitely screwed up and is expecting you to clean up his mess. Commenter. NTA. He didn't even have a real ask. Fix it is not something you tell your niece to do, especially because he obviously has no relationship with his older 2 kids. Changing your phone number and giving the new one to your cousin but not your dad says a lot. OP. Yep, and I was asked not to give him their new numbers or where they live now, which I wouldn't anyway, knowing they went no contact. But like, it says so much. Story 2. I'm about to ruin my best friend's life, and I don't feel remorse. My soon-to-be ex-best friend and I have been friends since middle school. We know everything about each other. Our families are basically one big family now. You get the idea. Like I said, we tell each other everything. Recently, she came to me telling me she's been having an affair for about 4 months with her superior at her new job. She started about a year ago. She told me, not out of guilt, but to brag about the dream vacation she's going on with her AP, disguised as a work trip. She asked me to cover for her if her husband asks if we've been in contact, because she's planning on going black for that week, so he would have no way of finding out. Side note, we've both known her husband since high school. They are high school lovers, so they've been together for almost 15 years. Her husband is one of the most honest, hard-working, genuine people I know. He, of course, took everything she's said about working late and the business trip at face value because he trusts her more than he trusts himself. I told her I would not be covering for her and to get out of my house because I couldn't even look at her right now. Later, I told my husband everything that happened, and he was just as shocked and disgusted. Her husband is basically his best friend now, so he, of course, has a lot of loyalty to him as well. My husband pointed out something I didn't even think of. Our security camera. It caught everything. We plan on going to her husband tonight with the proof. It will be up to him to do what he wishes with it, but he deserves to know. Secondly, we're taking this to her job. As far as I know, fraternization of any kind is prohibited at her workplace. She was also promoted once by this same supervisor, so this could be seen as favoritism. Our guess is that they will both be fired. Finally, I'm going to send a snippet of her admitting the affair to all of her family, including mine. As I said, our families are very intertwined, so I will easily be able to contact the majority of her family. I'm not going to give her a chance to spin this against me or her husband. Some Some may think this is harsh, but I wholeheartedly disagree with that she's doing. Relevant comments. Commenter. Tell the husband. Then it's his decision on how scorched earth he wants to go. What you do to her affects him. Get her fired? You risk that he'll have to pay spousal support to her. Tell the family? They are going to bombard him. Commenter. Exactly. Tell the husband. But you can offer to go further scorched earth, but leave it to him. What if he wants to play it cool while he gets his affairs in order? Do they have kids? Maybe he wants to control info gets filtered to them. And as said above, you could potentially hurt him in the divorce should he choose to go that way. I can think of a bunch of other factors. Maybe he doesn't want his heart ripped out publicly. Maybe that'll just hurt him further. Leave that decision up to him. Commenter. Also, if she gets fired, loses her job before divorce, she may try to get more alimony from her husband. So I agree. Inform the husband and let him get his ducks in a row. She chose to cheat on her timeline. Let him proceed with the divorce on his timeline. Also, while she goes away on that trip, that would be a good time for her husband to meet with lawyers. Commenter. Yay to husband. No to job or families. Seems like you want to destroy her life. Her husband's deserves to know, but not sure it's your place to ruin her career. Story 3. Any advice on how to proceed with guy 24M choking me? 25F. I met a guy last Wednesday night and we had a first date. At first I noticed he was quite negative about a lot of different topics and seemed keen on proving that he was right over me. Eventually he lightened up a bit and we ended up getting along better. He paid for everything. I invited him to come back to my apartment and offered him some alcohol and dessert I had because he said that's what he was feeling. We were on my sofa and all of a sudden he turned on me. He ended up strangling me to the point where I couldn't breathe. I passed out and went limp and vaguely remember him checking for the pulse in my neck. Once I came back around, I was coughing and gasping for air, to which he said, "I think you love being a drama queen. You need to go to sleep," and told me to shut up. He then had sex with me and I tried to pull him off, but I couldn't. He didn't put a condom on and finished inside me. I felt disgusting and sick that I couldn't fight him off and cried the whole time. Afterwards, he asked me if I was on birth control, and I told him I wasn't. He told me to promise him I would not have his babies and abort. A few days later, I went into the hospital because I've been feeling faint and dizzy randomly. It turns out I have an artery in my neck that was compressed. He texted me on Saturday saying that his mental health is in tatters and he's been in a constant state of stress ever since he met me. He's suffering and struggling terribly, and he regrets it all. He told me if I wanted to escalate it to the cops, he can't stop me, and all he wants to do is put things right. My family and friends have told me to block him and not have any further contact, and they have contacted him to tell him to stay far away from me. He has deleted all his social media and said he has to unwind for a few days because his mental health is in a bad spot. He said he knows I must be struggling and has pressed that I should do what I feel I need to do. I am paranoid about being pregnant because of him not using protection, but also wondering if I should report it to the police. I am scared about what he might do in return, which is what is making me hesitant. I'm also in a foreign country, and this is his home country. Relevant comments. Commenter. This guy did not have sex with you. He raped you and violently assaulted you. You can report him. Get your hospital records as proof. Block all contact with him. He is not a safe man, and none of this was your fault. Commenter. Violently enough to cause lasting damage, too. This is bad, and he needs to be arrested. Commenter. You should 100% go to the police. Get a copy of any hospital info you have from your visit there, as that is some evidence. Keep his texts where he is looking unhinged and irrational. I would go to the police because even if this doesn't end in a conviction, it may stay on his record and help the next woman take him down. The pregnancy thing is something to check in a few weeks, and an issue somewhat side to the rest. At the end of the day, he choked and raped you. Go to the police ASAP. Also, if you haven't washed your underwear from that night, then do not wash it and keep it, as it may have evidence you slept together on it. Story 4. AITA for telling my boyfriend's girl best friend to stop posting him. I, F18, have been dating my boyfriend, M18, for 2.5 years. He's become close a girl, F18, because he'd help her with her mental health. This girl that I'll call Pam is bipolar and has other mental health issues. My boyfriend, that I'll call Dan, would sometimes go over to her house alone, with my permission, to help her with mental episodes. I eventually didn't like him going over alone and asked him to stop, and he did. Pam didn't take this lightly and had a mental breakdown over it. That calmed down after a while. Recently, Dan has gone to military boot camp and has not been able to text, is limited calls, and has barely any time to write letters. Pam has been so upset over his absence and has been posting about him. She posted a video of her sobbing over him. This bothers me because it comes off as if she obsessed with him, and I doubt they have ever had any feelings to each other, but still. Today I had enough and told her that she's been pushing my boundaries and asked her to stop posting so much about him. She just asked how I could have taken it the wrong way and I should have known better. She doesn't see how it could have bothered me. She claims she just misses her best friend, and that's fine, but I don't see the reason for posting about him so much, and some of my other friends have said it seemed like too much. Now I feel like a terrible person, and that I should have never brought it up. All I wanted to do was set boundaries, but she took it as me trying to make her not be friends with my boyfriend anymore. And I told her I didn't care if they were friends. And now I feel like she'll tell mutual friends and they'll all turn on me. What's your perspective on this? Edit. Many people are seeing the word permission and saying I'm controlling for giving it. I'll explain. All I asked was for him to tell me when he was going there, and he insisted that he'd ask to make sure it was okay. It was his decision to want that. Permission was a bad word to use, and that's my fault. Was just trying to shorten it up. If the roles were switched, then this would still be the same, and we're both okay with that, LOL. And maybe people are saying it's not my business what she posts, and I agree to an extent. I've had a couple people reach out to me and say, her posts come off a little strong, and anyone who doesn't know the situation would think Pam and Dan are dating. And maybe I'm just jealous and crazy, but I didn't like the thought of people thinking that's true. And I didn't force Pam to not post. I asked her to tone her posts about him down, like not as frequent and such. And again, I was hesitant to even bring this up to her because I know she has bad mental health. This has been going on for a year, and I haven't said anything besides the house issue. Dan knows she bothers me, and was texting her less frequently before boot camp because of that. I don't believe anyone is right, and I didn't want to stress Dan out. I tried my best to have an adult-ish conversation, and tried to hear her out. It didn't seem like she was understanding my POV, but I told her to take it into consideration. I know she's attached to him, but I feel she needs to find another person for this comfort. And maybe that's selfish of me, and that I don't understand her enough, but I felt my relationship with Dan will go south if I didn't speak up. And Dan is very important to me, and I trust him. My only issue with everything happening is the posts. I've been taking everyone's POV into consideration, and this is a complex situation, so I don't believe everyone is getting the full picture, but I'm trying. I won't bring this up to her anymore, and I'll have a conversation with Dan when he gets settled after boot camp. Thanks, guys. Relevant comments. Commenter. Posting a video of you crying over someone's boyfriend is such a pick-me mentality. I honestly don't think your friends will take her side. Her complaining to them will honestly just make her look jealous. I don't think you have anything to worry about. Commenter. NTA. And I bet your mutual friends would rather think she is the crazy one. And even if they don't, who cares? She is obviously into him and is too clingy. What does he think about it? I cannot imagine having an opposite-sex friend, or a same-sex for that matter, like this. OP. He's currently in military boot camp, so I can't talk to him about it. He's never been the one to post or want to be posted, which is another reason why I didn't really like her posting. But before he left for the military, he was cutting back on communication with her, but they still talked frequently, which is fine, he can have friends, but she's been a little too much with how and what she's been posting recently. Commenter. NTA. She's got the hots for your BF and is definitely acting weird. She doesn't need your BF for her mental breakdowns. She needs a therapist and psychological help. The fact that she threw a tantrum because she doesn't get your BF alone anymore clearly proves she wants him. He needs to cut her off. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest ones. Have a great day.